Well, good afternoon, everybody. It was about a year ago that Representative Gress and I and Chief Randy Bryce and Mayor Wheatley from Queen Creek stood before you and talked about the need for the legislation in this case. And just yesterday, as you all know, Governor Hobbs signed Preston's law, which makes swarming a Class 4 felony. This was an important piece of legislation that became very obvious as we were dealing with the case involving Preston Lord. What we saw were many videos not related to that particular case of multiple kids. Sometimes there were adults in the videos that we saw that were ganging up on a single individual and administering a severe beating. As we all know, that severe beating led to the death of Preston Lord. And so while this is a victory legislatively, it's really important to remember why we're here in the first place, which is the loss of a life. What I hope to accomplish from this press conference today and your coverage is to send a very strong and very clear message to the community that this behavior will not be tolerated. We have tools to deal with it now, but this will give us really a tool that we need to deal with it and that speaks to the seriousness of this behavior. It is not okay to gang up on an individual and beat them up. And if you do so, the Maricopa County Attorney's Office will hold you responsible. And this tool will help us to do that to an even greater extent. So I want to thank the members of the legislature that helped get this passed. Representative Gress has been at the forefront of this effort from day one, and I want to turn it over to him in here in a second and thank him so much. As I indicated in social media yesterday, we also had some assistance from the Attorney General, Chris Mays. We also, of course, had the signature of Governor Hobbs added to this legislation yesterday. So this was a bipartisan, it really should be a nonpartisan effort to protect kids and other people within our community. So speaking after me today will be Representative Matt Gress, and then we will hear from Brenda Fusco, who is one of the attorneys who represents the family of Preston Lord. And then finally, we will hear from Autumn Curiel as she talks about what this means to her and to her family. So I will turn it over to Representative Gress. Thank you.
Thank you, County Attorney Mitchell. Good afternoon. Today marks a solemn but powerful milestone in our fight to protect Arizona communities. I'm proud to announce that House Bill 2611, known as Preston's Law, has been signed into law. This legislation is named in honor of 16-year-old Preston Lord, whose life was tragically taken in an act of senseless, organized violence. Preston is not just a name in our legislative record. He is a symbol of why we act, why we legislate, and why we must never grow numb to injustice. This law was born out of unimaginable grief, carried forward by the extraordinary strength of Preston's family. I want to personally recognize Autumn Curiel, Preston's mother, and Melissa Ciconti, his stepmother, two courageous women who transformed heartbreak into purpose. Their advocacy ensured that Preston's Law became not just words on paper, but a promise to every Arizona family that violence will not go unanswered. Preston's Law classifies violent group assaults that result in injury as aggravated assault, a Class 4 felony. It gives law enforcement and prosecutors the tools that they need to hold those accountable for coordinated cruelty. This law is not about punishment for its own sake. It's about deterrence, justice, and restoring public trust. I'm deeply grateful to Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell law enforcement, my colleagues at the legislature, Governor Hobbs, and above all, the Lord family for standing together in the name of accountability and reform. We honor Preston not only by remembering him, but by making sure that what happened to him never happens again. May Preston's name be a name of a legacy of reform and not just a reminder of tragedy. Thank you, and I will turn it over to Bryn.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Lord family, I want to express their heartfelt gratitude to two individuals whose leadership and dedication have made a powerful difference: Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell and Representative Matt Gress. We appreciate your unwavering support and tireless work on House Bill 2611, Preston's Law. Your commitment to ensuring justice through stronger accountability for senseless acts of violence is not only commendable, but essential. We also sincerely thank Governor Hobbs for signing this bill into law. Your leadership and commitment to justice and public safety have brought meaningful changes that will have a lasting impact. This legislation is more than just policy. It is a promise that those who commit acts of violence will face real consequences, a promise that we are building a safer future for our communities. And most of all, it is a testament to the legacy of a young man whose life, though tragically cut short, continues to inspire meaningful change. Preston's Law turns heartbreak into hope. It ensures that his story is not one of loss alone, but of purpose and progress. Thanks to your efforts, Preston's legacy will protect others, honor truth, and stand as a lasting reminder of what can be achieved when we come together with compassion and courage. On behalf of our community, and especially to those who knew and loved Preston, and there were many, thank you. We are truly grateful for your dedication, your compassion, and your leadership. Now I'll turn it over to Autumn.
Hello. Just to add to that, I always knew that Preston was destined to do great things and pave the way as an upstanding young man. Of course, I never imagined that his impact would come through his death. But even in this unimaginable tragedy, he continues to inspire change. This is just one more reason why I am and always have been so incredibly proud of him. I used to tell him, if you want change, you have to stand up for it, even if you're the only one still standing. And that's exactly what Preston has done. I am deeply honored to have this law carry his name. And I just reiterate thanking Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell and Senator Gress. Thank you.
Any questions? Yes.
I know that this won't go into effect until 90 days after the legislation legislative session has adjourned, but to know that, I guess, what does it feel like to know that this will hopefully spark change in cases moving forward?
Well, it's very encouraging. When we first started charging the peripheral cases and seeing that, the statutes called it a misdemeanor, and we were able to get it to a Class 6 felony because of the number of people, and say that their ability to or capacity to resist was impaired. It gave us something, but it just felt hollow because it was not nearly to the level of seriousness that what we were seeing was. And so I'm very encouraged. And I think, just to echo what Representative Gress said, this is a law that I hope to never have to enforce. This is a law that I hope just deters people from doing this type of behavior and sends the strong message about how dangerous this is, and that parents should talk to their kids so that they make sure that they're not engaging in this type of behavior, because the consequences are just too much.
Can you go deep a little more in the sense of the consequences that we're talking about here? You're saying that hopefully you don't have to enforce it, but what would happen to either a young adult that end up committing this kind of crime?
Well, to contrast it, a misdemeanor, the maximum sentence would be 6 months in jail. A class 6 felony that we were able to charge, the presumptive term, or the starting point for the judge, is a year in prison, but it also could be knocked down to a misdemeanor as well. So you could go to trial on a class 6 felony, it could still be a misdemeanor. But a class 4 felony is a permanent felony. So it will stay on the record, it cannot be changed down to a misdemeanor, and the presumptive term, or the starting point for the judge, is 2.5 years in prison.
Is there a way that you're making this public to youngsters, not just this year, maybe years to come, to let them know they become teenagers, they can't be involved in stuff like this?
You know, my office has many, many irons in the fire, if you will, as far as publicizing things related to this case. As you know, last year we started a campaign called Report Don't Repost, because we had so many individuals who were posting these videos online and expecting media or law enforcement to pick up on it and do something with it, when we didn't know who posted it or who was in the videos. And I think it's really important to not repost it, because that's really the commodity that these individuals are trading in. It's the currency. And so it deprives them of their currency, their street cred, if you will, and it turns it over to law enforcement so that it can be investigated and prosecuted. So, you know, that's definitely something that we're looking at, continuing with that program. In fact, we've had places from other states reach out for our materials on the Report Don't Repost program. And we will continue to engage with schools and others that work with kids to make sure that people know how dangerous this activity really is.
Are other states considering implementing Preston's law?
I don't know. I would hope so if they don't have adequate legislation.
Is it safe to say that the activity is over, at least for that particular group, gang?
Well, I mean, I could never say that it's over unless I have the person in custody. Obviously, there are a number of people in custody. You know, certainly if there's anybody that still has that in their mind, that might be something that they want to engage in, I'm hoping that this law provides the deterrent so that they won't do that.
Preston's case obviously uncovered a whole wave of teen-on-teen violence. Now it's sparked legislation. To kind of put it into perspective for people, I think Autumn and the family spokesperson said this, but to remember that this was really sparked by tragedy. I mean, what can you kind of talk to that?
Yeah, I mean, as a prosecutor, you know, you have victories in court, or as a county attorney, you may have a victory at the legislature, but it's always important to remember that oftentimes that stemmed from tragedy. And this case is certainly one of those examples where we have a young 16-year-old boy who, you know, I've told Autumn, and I've told Nick and Melissa too, I haven't heard one bad thing about that kid. He's a great kid, and I'm glad we could put his name on some law.
Does this law affect social media companies or ask them to get involved in any way?
It doesn't. It doesn't command them to. However, I mean, they certainly, as part of the community, should participate in this. So if they are seeing videos of this type of activity, online to, turn that over to law enforcement, to cooperate with law enforcement, to get those materials, to get not only the materials, but who posted it, so that we can track down witnesses. I mean, that would be the moral thing to do.
Just to be clear, this would also apply to adults.
Yes, this does apply to adults. We've had some examples of beatings that have occurred of multiple people on a single individual, and this would apply to that situation as well.
Perhaps maybe like the one in Scottsdale involving that athlete?
That would be an example, yes.
Is there any more to be done in terms of state legislation?
I think we always need to, keep an open mind as far as, either developing new legislation like this is, or to tweak existing laws. I think one of the things that I'm going to be pursuing this year is looking at the juvenile justice system to make sure that the programs in that are adequate to teach kids, so that this does not spiral, their criminal activities do not spiral out of control. And there's a number of things that we have planned for that.
Anybody else?
Do you know by chance if this is a trend that's going nationwide, this type of behavior?
I haven't seen research on it, but I certainly have seen increased reporting on it on a nationwide basis. But I will say this, I have seen research that shows that juvenile violence across the nation is up. That includes juvenile gun violence, or just violent crime in particular. So yes, we are seeing an increase in that.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.